You know, while everyone is always asking how much you bench, I've always found myself questioning how much someone deadlifts. I mean, in a sport like wrestling, where manipulating the human body is as essential as throwing people overhead and dishing out some punches, I wanted to see who actually has the biggest number. But as always in the world of wrestling, we need to apply certain rules to filter through the legends, storytelling, and BS. So without further ado, let's get out our imaginary rulebook. Rule number 1. No trap bar deadlifts or rack pulls are counted, especially with the handle up or in the case of rack pulls, where range of motion is decreased while pulling from the knee or even hip height, changes the whole dynamic of the lift. Rule number 2. While singlets in the 80s and mid-90s added as good as nothing and were just better t-shirts, modern singlets can increase the weight between 5 to 10% in the deadlift and won't be counted. Rule number 3. There needs to be some sort of evidence recorded, on paper during an event or on video. So stories like, I heard Gilbert lifts 900 pounds won't be added to the list. Rule number 4. Since I'm European and I'm handicapped when it comes to pounds, things can get lost in conversion. Let's keep in mind, most guys didn't train specifically for 1 rep max deadlift and might be a lot stronger if they really focused on the rest and training, so we don't know their true potential. Honorable mentions would be The Undertaker, who despite his age and his long career managed to pull 500 pounds 8 years ago on the rack. Ric Flair, who's still strong as it gets despite being 1000 years old, and Bianca Belair with a 415 pound deadlift, still on a trapper. As far as Scott Norton's alleged 965 pounds, they couldn't find any evidence apart from an interview he had a couple of years ago.
He had 765 on the bar. I just walked over it. Boom.
Often considered one of the strongest guys in modern wrestling, the former Cesaro has pulled 515 pounds raw on multiple occasions, usually while on the road and having a match the night before. While there are no official 1 rep max records out there, apart from random clips, his status as a member of the 1000 pound club suggests that this was not his final form. The smallest member, Kofi Kingston, has managed an impressive 560 pounds, while the 2 super heavyweights on the roster, Bronson Reed and Otis, were not far behind. It is important to note that Otis also holds the former Performance Center trap bar record of 775 pounds. While a 500 pound plus deadlift is impressive, 600 pounds is definitely elite level lifting. While most of us are aware that Cena is legitimately strong in the Olympic lifts, he also recently managed a deadlift of 640 pounds. The same goes for Bobby Lashley.
Heaviest deadlift? 1,000 pounds. Damn. Okay.
Who's considered one of the strongest members on the roster. I found some older pictures where he lifts the same amount as Cena. Now, we're in the realm of the freaky lifters. First on the list is former WWE wrestler and YouTuber Rick Bugenhagen, master of the odd lifts. In a recent video, he managed a whopping 920 pound hex bar deadlift, but also managed 700 pounds for a regular deadlift a while ago, and 855 pounds with, let's call this a band-assisted version, I guess. Former strongman competitor Braun Strowman claimed to have a deadlift of 905 pounds, but this was done with straps and from 2 blocks, similar to a rack pull, which makes sense for strongman lifts, where odd objects like tires or wheels are elevated, so it becomes more like a higher hip position lift. However, I was also able to find a gym deadlift, where he pulled 670 pounds for 3 reps, and a 748 pound deficit deadlift. Paul Ellering is known for a long career as a manager, assisting the likes of Hawk and Animal, and in recent years AOP. I already covered him in one of my first clips on the channel and established that prior to his injuries and retiring from his in-ring career, he was a serious powerhouse, competing in powerlifting and setting a record, 745¼ pounds. While I couldn't find any evidence for that, there's an old competition lift entry on the powerlifting database of 700 pounds while staying in the 220 pound weight class. For the last 3 entries, I guess it isn't much of a surprise to find Big E, Bill Kazmaier and Mark Henry on the top. the former defensive lineman Big E set a record of a 799-pound raw deadlift. So no singlets and no straps, and broke with it the American Raw record in deadlift. While technically not a pure professional wrestler, not even a good one, even though he was on a tag team with Tushin Liger in the WCW, Kazmaier lifted a ridiculously 840-pound deadlift and a 1,055-pound deadlift in a strongman competition. Although, as established before, those are from an elevated position. Mark Henry, on the other hand, did a whooping 904 in competition, but claimed an unofficial record of 920 pounds, which is definitely in the realm of possibility if your last name is Henry. And you can say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, with his son Jacob already deadlifting 600 pounds, while excelling in wrestling and football. While we covered the bench press in the past, in case you guys are interested, I could cover the squats or Olympic lifts in a separate clip. Also, in case I'm missing a specific wrestler, let me know. See you next time.